This is the time, this is the place, and this is FC3 Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky. And since everything is geeky, if you love it enough, you never know what you're gonna get. This is your host, IMC, and this week we are lucky enough to have an interview with best-selling fantasy author Tamora. Yeah, there we go. I'm doing really well. I'm out of practice. Best-selling fantasy author Tamora Pierce. After that, stick around for our upcoming events and our question of the week. It's been a little while.
It has.
I've missed you guys.
I know. We took a hiatus.
But your aim will improve.
I'm working on it.
No. No.
In the studio with me, as always, is the legend Billy DeTore.
Hi.
Man of legendary patience. He hangs out with us.
Nah. You put up with me.
Well, it goes both ways then. My favorite co-host of all time, actually the only co-host I've ever had, so I can't say. But the darling Tanya. Hello, Tanya.
Hi.
How are you over there?
Oh, ask me later.
Yeah, I know. We've all been a little beat up lately, haven't we?
Well, let's see. Last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, something like that, my refrigerator wasn't cold on the top, so I had to thaw out the entire thing, so we lost some food. Then the AC had broken the week before.
Then your washing machine.
Then my washing machine, just on Thursday, there was water all over the floor. And then just yesterday, my debit card was hacked. So I'm in the process of trying to get back the $115 that was taken from me.
You got a little beat up.
Yeah. But the positive note, I am getting a new bed this week.
There you go.
Hey.
Yeah.
And pay no attention to the $115 worth of comic books sitting next to me.
Are you Luann Evans in Portland, Oregon?
Well, let me check my various IDs.
That was the thing. So, and I actually looked up that name, and it was somebody that I think their identity might have been snagged and stolen and things like that. Because
kind of a thing.
I did find that person and saw her on line, but I don't know. I mean, I was in Erie, PA yesterday.
Yeah, for where? For why?
Was it Comic-Con Erie?
Oh, ErieCon.
ErieCon, something like that.
ErieCon.
They had Jason.
It was very eerie.
Graham Nolan was down there.
Graham Nolan was there?
And I ran into Squirrel.
Oh, nice.
I love our squirrel.
I asked, Alana's in there. I asked her for a special hairpiece commission that's got BB-8 on it.
Okay.
I said,
Nice.
R2-D2. She goes, I can't do that. I'm like, darn it. So I have my Supernatural one. Now I need a Star Wars one. The Millennium Falcon I just thought was too big for me. So
I see.
I'm a BB-8 person. So
See, we both now have supernatural hair clips. We'll have to wear them and be twinsies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're so cute.
We are.
And that subtle, that gentle little lilting voice. Our producer Sherry is in the house today.
Hello.
Hello, Sherry. Well, hello,
No,
Sherry.
please stop.
Well, I'm sorry. It's just one of those things.
That's not the right one.
I know.
Sherry.
That's the one.
Sherry.
No.
Sherry, baby, Sherry.
I can't grab part of me tightly enough to get that note.
I saw Jersey Boys last year at the auditorium. I love it. So.
Well, classics.
When everyone sings it to you, it kind of gets old fast.
So you lost your washing machine?
The water is leaking through the bottom of the tub.
She didn't lose it. She knows where it is.
It hasn't gone very far.
It didn't wander off.
It's just not working.
We had to replace our dryer this week.
My washer's less than 5 years old.
No, ours was about 20 years old.
Oh, see, there you go.
It was time, but it just still didn't make me happy.
I was going to say our first one was about 17 years, and then we had to replace both
This is
of them.
not a good week.
So Tanya has things breaking all
now,
over the
Chris,
place. Sherry
you've had some issues too this week.
I want to talk about Sherry running over a mailbox first.
Did it jump out in front of you?
It did.
It seriously did.
No.
That thing was
You hate when
suicidal.
that
It
happens.
just jumped.
It was a very steep driveway, and there was a car parked across the street directly across. So I tried to take it so I didn't hit the car across the street. And you know my vehicle. It's big.
Yeah.
Is it the Ford Escape?
Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't see it, and all of a sudden I hear crunch. No.
Whoops.
It was not good. It was not good. But we went and replaced it yesterday, and he was very happy that we replaced it. And so that was our good
See,
deed.
take responsibility for your mistakes and you fix them. That's it.
And it doesn't get turned into your insurance company that way.
There you go. Hi, Sybil.
Hi.
Sybil's in the house.
The other cute little hi.
Hi. We've missed you. And we're so happy that you're in the studio today. Tell me you've had a good week.
I've had a good week.
That's good. You're not lying to me,
actually,
are you?
No, we had a bad week.
Oh.
We've had crazy storms down in Pittsburgh recently.
Yeah.
Have you guys been flooded?
Immensely flooded.
Deanna said something about the fountain had water.
Every single rainstorm has flooded us since February.
Now, the house you're living in, is that taking any damage, or is it up, above the nonsense?
We're high enough that we're not taking any damage.
Okay. And how's Dad?
Dad's good.
They're
good. High enough. There's no damage. But my job
is underwater. How's the mini?
The job itself is not underwater, but the telephone lines are underwater.
Oops.
We had no telephones Monday through Thursday of this past week.
That's
Sometimes
a good day
that's not
at work
a
for
bad
me.
thing.
Really? But
I dream of those days.
But if your whole job relies on the phone
Yeah.
and you're kind of sitting there feeling useless, it's kind of... And you still have to make phone calls for people. So you start using your personal cell phone to make business calls. And
Been
now
there.
all these clients have my personal cell phone number.
Yeah, I hate that because there's a couple landlords out there
There's
who
a
have mine now.
trick. There's a trick.
The star 86 doesn't work on my phone.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Please, I used to have that, like when I would program in numbers for people I didn't want to have my number, that was programmed into my phone ahead of the number.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I would have to leave messages to have them call me back because I actually did have to talk to these guys.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't answer numbers they don't know.
Isn't that where you get like one of those prepaid phones for the week?
I just didn't feel like going out and doing it, and I had to do it that day on Monday because we're hoping the phones will be back up on Monday. And then, no, we were told, okay, tomorrow.
Whoops.
No.
And then we came in tomorrow. No,
Kind of
Wednesday.
like the power coming back. It's like RG&E when whatever happens up here, then we never know what the power
When
comes
you
back.
see the old woman named Ethel with the can and the string standing outside the office, then you know we've gotten somewhere we don't want to be.
When the Verizon phone guys come, remove the manhole cover, look down the manhole, swear a lot, cover it up, and then drive away, you kind of know it's going to be a bad day.
There's a sign. That's a sign.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about my week. So this is why I'm going to... Hi, Alana. Alana's in the production booth. She's waving and having a giggle at the moment. Hi, sweetheart. We miss you. We're so happy to see you. All right.
You can hear her giggle.
You can hear her giggle through the glass.
She
That
has
was
banished
awesome.
herself because she's going to fangirl.
because she's a big
soon.
Tamora Pierce fan.
She really is.
So when we do the interview in very short order, she's just going to be like, squealing.
Yes.
Yes.
She's in there fanning herself.
She's fanning herself right now.
Yes.
Well, Billy, you're going to have to get rid of those comic books because that $115 is coming back to me right now.
Yay!
Okay.
Resolution. It's a
Yes.
beautiful thing.
Yeah, good.
Thank God for the chat function on ESL.
I'm telling
They're
you, that's a
awesome.
beautiful thing.
Shameless plug for ESNL.
There you go.
My sister works for them. Maybe you're talking to my sister right now.
There you
Is
go.
his sister's name Melissa?
No,
Okay.
Okay.
Then no.
Well, that was a lucky shot, though.
Yeah.
and she's not in Indy either.
No.
This is in the fraud and security place, so I don't know.
Let's see. My car broke twice. My toe broke once. I lost a marble. No, tooth. Same thing.
You lost your
It's
marbles
still
a
something in your
long
head that
time
you
Yeah,
lost.
something in my head that I lost.
Long time ago.
I'm
those
40
marbles.
goddamn 8. I shouldn't be losing teeth. That's all I'm saying.
You lose them when you're younger, and then you get a whole new set.
Yeah, well,
you're not supposed to lose the
this one
second set.
This one decided to make an early break for it. And so,
Late break for it?
late break for it.
And
That's
you
it.
have to go back to the dentist tomorrow.
I have to go back to the dentist tomorrow to make sure there's no damage to the one next to it. I'm lucky it's one of the back ones, so like when I smile, there's no like.
You can't
I
see
don't.
it.
I don't
no
look like a
gaping
redneck.
hole in there.
Yeah, I'm not. My apologies. Okay, my apologies to rednecks out there for that comment, but still, you guys don't have any teeth. I'm just going to be honest right now, and we'll be talking about rednecks next week, actually, aren't we? Because rednecks save the world.
Yes. Ooh, one of them is a really hot-looking redneck. He's so young-looking.
Babies. Okay, let's.
All right,
Yeah, they
anyway.
are babies.
So
We really
we all
digress.
we all got a little beat up this week, but you know what? We're back on the air. We're having a good time, and I'm with the
They
people.
missed us.
You guys must have missed us.
They really missed us.
I'm hoping
Yeah.
you missed
I
us.
think we missed everyone
Yes.
here.
Really, I didn't see this point. I did. I missed being in the studio, hanging out with all y'all.
Yep.
So especially you, little sis.
That's okay. Billy and I had talked on that Saturday for your gathering that we could really just come into the studio the next day while the boss is away. We're going to just do whatever we want.
I wouldn't have minded.
I'm like, I
Yes,
can still
Ken.
come in.
No, it's funny because in early September, I'm like, are we still going to do the yearly break at Labor Day weekend. And he's like, oh, yeah, of course. I'm like, okay. So when I posted it, just a reminder, break. And Chris was like, oh, thanks. I totally forgot.
And Billy and I are like, what?
Yeah.
Break.
Yeah.
We're like, we might as well just go into the studio and play. We didn't, but we actually took that break.
I had to
on
come
the
and
thing.
do a radio show, but I should have just turned on the microphones.
That session was September 2nd. That was my birthday. And I was so happy to have that morning off because
Your character didn't die that afternoon.
my character didn't die that afternoon either. So that
And
worked
you
out
got
really
a
well.
birthday level that was granted to everyone
Everybody.
on
That's
the
how
table.
generous I am. I shared my birthday level with the entire party.
Well, considering one of the other people was going to have the birthday level the next day.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so we got to get to work. We've babbled on enough. It's time. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to read from Sherry's script.
Okay. Let's take a break.
Tamora Pierce is a prolific author of fantasy books, most of which feature young women as protagonists, and many of which are set in her fictional land of Tortall. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yep.
Good. Since the early 80s, she has been writing fun, sweeping, inclusive young adult fantasy, and in the process has become a legend herself. She basically invented the kickass heroine of YA books, young adult books, okay, and paved the way for Hermione, Katniss, and the rest. Ms. Pierce, welcome to the show, and we're so happy to have you with us today.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Now, I will warn you right now, we're going to be making many references to producer Sherry's daughter, Ilana, who is in the production studio at the moment, and she has been an avid fan of yours since the word go, since she was old enough to read your books, and she's dancing right now because she's so happy to hear from you today.
Hey, Ilana.
Yes, okay, you just made her entire day.
Possibly her year.
Somebody get that girl a paper bag. But anyway, like I was saying when we were talking before we started recording, I just want to get to know how does the process start? When did you start writing, and what was your first idea?
Well, I had done I won I'd won a prize for a Christmas contest for what Christmas means to me for the local paper.
Oh, wow.
When I was in 4th grade. But really, my fiction course started when my dad caught me telling stories to myself as I did dishes.
Uh-huh.
And instead of saying, Tammy, people will think you're nuts if you talk to yourself, he said I should write a book. And I didn't know it was supposed to be difficult, for which I thanked him many years later. So I just asked him what I should write about, and we shared a lot of books. He introduced me to Robin Hood and Edgar Rice Burroughs and King Arthur and books like that. So he knew what I liked. So he thought about it for a minute, and he said, how about time travel? Travels in a time machine. And little geek that I was, I thought about it for a moment, and I thought, what if I pretended I was back in time with the Trojan War?
Okay.
And the thing that really made it stick, the thing that told me more than anything else, without my dad having to say a word, that this meant a whole lot to him, he said I could use his typewriter.
Ooh, all right.
Up to that moment, if I had touched that typewriter, I would be missing a finger. He did his union newsletter on the typewriter. It was death for us kids to touch it.
I see.
So I knew it was a big deal. So I sat down and I started pecking away. And really, I don't type with that many more fingers now. But I'm really fast. And I ran out of idea eventually. No one ever tells you, but you're going to be running out of ideas and having to move on to something else more when you're starting out than finishing things.
Mm-hmm.
But I had plenty more ideas piled up. And I was in 6th grade then. In 7th grade, my homeroom teacher handed me this book called The Fellowship of the Ring.
Okay. It's a
some
small
fella
little
named-
book.
Yeah. This guy named Tolkien wrote it.
Yeah, I think I've heard of him before.
Obscure author.
Yeah.
He's a very obscure
lot
author.
Of people have.
Yeah.
And I read it in one night, and after that, I was off to the races. And
Wait a
I was
minute.
grabbing-
You read it.
Hold on.
You read
hold on.
Fellowship of the Ring in one night.
Yeah. I'm a quick reader.
You are my new hero.
I'm like, wait a second.
Wow.
Wow.
You live in
I went
Alaska
on
where
to
nights
the
are
other
like
two, and then to Robert Howard and Michael Moorcock, and I just fell in love with fantasy. Jane Gaskell, and then a year or so later, I found science fiction, and on I went. And my only objection to those books, and it was an objection I had to most literature in that day, was the girls, when they got to do something, eventually they stopped. Caddy Woodlawn, her dad says at the end, what do you say we slow down and try something else? And go inside. And the Witch of Blackbird Pond, she sailed for half a year, but half a year she spent in the house and gardening and sewing and doing all those things. And it just seemed, and then Eowyn gives up her sword at the end of the third Middle-earth book, and I didn't see why she had to, because Faramir didn't. And then the other women I ran into in the books, mostly Lessa of Fern yelled at people. She did get to ride her dragon now and then.
Yeah. Once in a while.
But until I read the Harper Hall books,
Oh, I love those.
the women just seemed to, they did have the women who rode the green dragons into battle, so that was something. But Jirel of Joiry once asked her men-at-arms why they cowered in the corner like so many women, which was the big bad for me. And then when I finally found Robert Howard's Red Sonja, she was in the comics in a chainmail bikini.
Yeah, the chainmail, the very practical chainmail. Yes.
Well, I can.
He says
one
tongue in
thing I
cheek.
ask when I'm doing talks is speaking for the women and girls here in the audience. I'll bet you a lot of you have run into the time when you've been out swimming and you came out of the water and you decided to take a nap, maybe under a shady tree. And when you woke up, you discovered the big disadvantage for someone in a bathing suit or a two-piece who's been asleep in the shade in a wet top. And all of them just cringed and crossed their arms over their chest.
As a matter of fact, the three women on the panel right now are just kind of like they're looking around, going, they're nodding with that chagrin look on their face, like, yeah, there's like a lot
I
of
don't wear a
commiserating.
two-piece, so.
Well,
Yeah. And here's Red Sonja in a chainmail bikini, sleeping out in the wilderness in the winter.
Nope.
yeah, because that makes sense. Perfect sense.
So I
Sure.
started to write what I wanted to read. I wrote girls who kicked butt, who had swords and armor, and didn't sleep in wet places in a chainmail bikini.
Yeah.
And they wore lots of padding in the wintertime, even if their friends did laugh at them because they got cold. So that was what got me started. And it wasn't until Anne McCaffrey, because I didn't read Marion Zimmer Bradley until years later, but I did find McCaffrey. And then Robin McKinley came out a couple years before me, and about that time, Barbara Hambly And then Elizabeth Moon started publishing, and that was the early 80s. And that's when I started publishing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it's been a total of 31 books now have been published?
Books. Okay. I thought you were going to say years.
Oh, no. No, 31 books in 2 years. Yes, you've been very prolific.
No. I wish. I forget. I forget how many books it's been.
I know in the past 30 years, I think I've written about a quarter of a book. So.
Well, practice.
Exactly.
Practice, and the more you do, the better you get, so the more you do.
Gotcha. Now, one of the things, and Sherry and I have been talking about your work quite often in the run-up to this particular taping, is world creation is very strong in your books. Now, I want to know, how do you go about the idea of creating these worlds? And did you have a world fleshed out right from the beginning, or did you discover it kind of book by book along the way for your fans as you started kind of developing these stories?
Well, at first, I did do it bit by bit. I started with the castle at Alana's home in Trebond and wrote my way down to the capital. And then I realized I was starting to get lost. And so I always admit I'm not good at making stuff up.
31
and
books of
lots
fiction.
of times that happens, where people crack up. But it's true. I feel if I make something up, it's just a brick hanging in midair, and it's going to drop. And also, if I come back to it, there's nothing that I can go to. By drawing from the real world and real life, I have a solid background I can depend on and spread out to. And also, then I can go back when I need it again, and there will be more details there. So at the beginning, I knew I was borrowing heavily from medieval Europe and medieval England because of my Robin Hood background and my King Arthur background. So I built from that, and then when it came time to try something I needed to be more varied, I was sort of spurred on by a British critic who said that my background was so realistic that he didn't see why I have to do fantasy at all. I remembered where I was getting all my scenes and wildlife and everything from. And so I decided to go to another country with a different kind of wildlife and setting. And at the time, I always had a big map in front of my desk where when I was working from whatever hot spot in the world I was thinking about. And at that point, what I had was a map of Southeast Asia, because I was reading about the war in Vietnam. And I realized, looking at it, not only did I have a countryside and an environment, but if I took away the names of lesser-known places, like small towns, rivers, lakes, individual mountains, I had place names and last names for the people who lived there. And going even further, I realized I could also use customs, their food, their culture, everything I needed to build a separate culture of people, events I could borrow from their history. And so I was able to fill in the whole culture of the Khmer people and the Saran people for the fourth Alana book. So using that, then I was able to go on and start building cultures. And when I got to doing the Circle of Magic world, I started everything from scratch rather than building out from the Tortall universe, from Alana's home place. This time I had a map of the Middle East in front of me and Central Asia, and I built the whole world from that map, deleting certain things, creating my countries, figuring out where my different groups of races and people, because right there in the Middle East you have a crossroads of the world.
Yeah,
and I
true.
could deal with a group of trading societies and different races of people all mingled together. And so before I start each book, a couple years or so, I figure out what my culture is going to be, and I start gathering and reading the books I'll need, the cookbooks I'll need, because a good cookbook will tell you way more than just recipes.
You know, I hadn't
It'll
even
tell
thought
you
of
the
that.
holidays.
That's
It'll
brilliant.
describe kitchens. They're just the most amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
I've got this one tremendous Jewish cookbook that starts with the diaspora, and it shows all the different parts of the world where the Hebrew people went, and gives the recipes of the foods that they cooked and the variations they resorted to when a particular ingredient was not available in that part of the world. So that's how I build worlds. And then for characters, again, not good at making stuff up. Found that out actually very early when I realized in 6th grade that my characters all looked and sounded alike. So I started basing them on people I knew, because I may never have seen my friend Alex meet a woman from ancient Crete whose dress was cut down to her belly button. But I had a fairly good idea of how he'd react on meeting her. Because boys, you know.
Thank you.
So I moved on when I started running out of people I knew. I moved on to TV actors and characters and movie actors and their characters, and on to people in magazines. When I got good enough, professional poker players, professional martial artists, and if I'm rolling, I can base a person on a photo and the right name. And I have a lot of names. I have about 17 name books.
Oh, wow.
Well, because if I have to think of it on my own, I get stuck.
Yeah,
And
I can imagine.
I wrote a lot of these before the internet.
Okay.
So I have all kinds of name books. And if I'm desperate, these days I'll use the internet, but it's more fun going through the books. And let's see, what else do I use? Slang is something, if I'm using a different culture and a different language, I'll go into the language for a word that's turned to slang a lot, and I'll try and twist it around. Everything I borrow from another language or religion or people, I will usually adapt and not go straight from that, because I don't want to offend anybody. I'm really leery of that. I don't want to have someone get upset because I borrowed from their culture and they feel I've used it carelessly or offensively. I always say at schools and cons, I lived by the words of the great wizard Lionel Trilling: the immature artist imitates, the mature artist steals.
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Words for the creative person to live by.
Absolutely. And your books are very renowned for their inclusivity and for reaching out and crossing borders and making sure that that no one group is ever really kind of pointed at and excluded from. So I'm assuming that sensitivity is what has borne those things from happening, or maybe it's something to kind of feed back on itself. You just see it as a natural way of opening your books to everybody.
Well, I try because I don't like it when people are trash talked. I don't like. I've hung out with so many different people, and I've heard and read and listened to the way so many people are treated, and it just doesn't make sense to me. That's why the world is in such a mess.
Yeah.
So I try to present a different point of view.
Now, has that ever been a conscious decision, or has it just been more organic because that's just how you see? That's how you want to see the world. So you're kind of you're putting your, I don't know how I want to form this question. You're kind of espousing how you want to see our world, the real world around us, through the books that you've written.
Some parts of it, that's how I always thought the world should be. Like when I wrote the Bajir, I felt that trashing Arabic and Muslim people was ludicrous. Because the largest percentage of those people are just people. They're not enemies. They're not out to destroy the world. They're just out to live their lives. And they have this rich tradition. And I hate what's happening now.
I can only imagine.
As far as LGBTQ people, I needed nudging from fans because I was afraid to try and screw up. But I got kicked enough times that I said, okay, there were people I knew in the books were gay or lesbian. And I figured, okay, here we go. Because I really didn't want my ass kicked.
I can imagine.
But, sometimes you just got to clench your hands and jump. And so far I've been lucky. I also have a lot of advisors, people I can ask. And as people notice more and more, they come to me and say, okay, I liked what you did here, but you could do more of this. So it's nice to have help. And
that kind of helps you push to be a better writer. You're getting that input in real time with these folks who are seeing it and then helping and putting their 2 cents in. I have a list here. Sherry, where did you the seven reasons? Did you compile that?
No, that's actually something I found online.
Okay. 7 reasons why, and this is going to be addressed more to our listeners. 7 reasons why you should be a Tamora Pierce fan now and forever. So I wanted to share this. I don't know if you've ever heard this list, Miss Pierce, but we're gonna share it with you today just so you can hear it. She is the OG creator of Kickass Heroines in fantasy. Tamora Pierce's first book, Alana, The First Adventure, was published back in 1983, set in a time and place where girls are forbidden from becoming knights. This quartet details Alana's training as she hides her real gender. Alana has influenced a generation of readers and writers ever since. One reader in particular, she's doing a little dance in the production studio right now. She's thrilled. And her name is, by the way, Alana. Spelled differently than your main character, but the same name. So it's and she's art.
I'm always tickled to learn about kids that are named after the character.
Now, point number 2. Who needs Earth when you have Tortall? Before there were the 7 kingdoms of Westeros, there was Tortall, the medieval fantasy universe where most of Tamora Pierce's books take place. If you like sprawling,
rather live in Tortall.
You know what? I'm hearing that. If you like sprawling castles, ancient magic, brave characters, vibrant cultures, and the timeless fight of good versus evil, Tortall is the place for you. Point number 3. There are endless books for you to pierce your bookshelf with. We're not above a pun in this podcast. We are not
Stop
above
being
it.
so punny.
I'm sorry. I'm reading a script. Come on, it's not my fault. Anyway, Tamora Pierce has written a lot of books, 20 set in Tortall and 11 set in the Circle of Magic universe. So plenty of materials to read. Point number 4, she knows how to write an unforgettable love story. We don't want to give you any spoilers, but let's just say that Dane and New Mare have been giving readers relationship goals since the 1990s. Now, just because of that quote alone, I want to read this now.
Yeah, me too.
Because in this job as, being a comic book convention director and a podcast host and things like that, I have been subjected to some stuff that I would like to say, a different descriptor for. I'm just going to say Twilight and cringe and move on. So
I'm sorry.
Oh, I know. Thank you.
I was going to take pictures of the furries yesterday for you.
Oh, please don't. Please don't. Well, actually, it's kind of funny you bring that up because point number 5 is animals. Oh, the animals. Tamora Pierce is a proud animal lover, and for that we love her even more. Animals play almost as big a role in her books as the characters do. Tamora, do you have a quantity of pets that are close by?
Yeah. Yeah, let's see, Mr. Peabody and Marbles are curled up asleep, and there are 8 more cats and 2 parakeets. Pete and Cactus Jack in their sky-high eyrie where they are safe from cats.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah. We are very well catted here, not to mention the strays and ferals that we feed and trap and rescue when we can.
Tanya is constantly sending me videos of puppies, and I want all the puppers.
You need those puppy videos every so often.
I do. I love dogs.
We moved to Syracuse in the hopes of having at least one dog, but then we discovered the cats, and one of them, it used to be 5, now we're down to 1, but one, and the only outdoor one, is death on dogs.
Oh, boy.
She's this little thing, but she doesn't care.
She
will go after Rottweilers. So.
Oh, wow.
No dogs.
That's a brave little kitten right there.
Oh, she's not brave. She's mean. She loves people. She has a fan club. She lays out on the sidewalk and lets people come and pet her.
That's amazing.
Her name is Sluggo.
Sluggo, the female cat.
Yep.
That's the quote of the day right there. She's not brave, she's mean. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Point number 6. She's the queen of young adult fantasy. Tamora Pierce has been writing for over 35 years. She is as relevant today as she was in the 80s, which is just pretty epic if you ask us.
That's one of the good things about fantasy. You can do that. It doesn't date.
Yeah. Those stories mostly are timeless because they can fit in anywhere. And then point number 7. She is the, what is this, OTL?
One True Love.
One true love of readers and authors alike. So many best-selling and beloved authors have cited Tamora Pierce as an inspiration. And here are just a few. I don't know if you've ever heard of these before. Tamora Pierce's books shaped me not only as a young writer, but also as a young woman. And that was by Sarah Moss, the author of the Throne of Glass series.
Yeah.
And all of these years later, I still draw strength from her worlds. Marie Lu, author of the Young Elites series. There's just a litany of people you have influenced and people who love your work. And I'm looking forward to becoming one of them very short order.
Me too. Sybil, I think, already ordered books.
Yes,
Sybil has ordered books.
I ordered several. I don't know where they are in the series. I'm just like, I'll pick these ones.
Well, I think I'm going to have to start with Alana.
Is there? Yeah, you start from scratch. You start with the first adventure, I would assume, and work your way through
I
the
actually
list.
didn't start with the Alana books. I started with the Protector of the Small series.
Okay.
Yeah. Those were my first.
Yeah.
That's the wonderful
My girl, Cal.
Go ahead.
Yep, Cal's awesome.
Sort of unflappable, just, Neil, her friend Neil is going, you don't have any imagination. You're not into romance, splendor. And then she says, it sounds very tiring. Eat your vegetables.
Alana's dying in there.
Kel is based on a fan of mine, and Neil is based on Christian Slater.
Okay.
That's awesome. I'm never going to be able to read the book the same again.
Yeah, now you're going to see these faces.
Yeah.
I've done that as a writer myself. When I'm creating a character, I have an actor or a personality in mind, so I have that person's voice in my head while I'm trying to write them.
That's for my Dungeons and Dragons characters.
Yes, that happens too.
Yeah, I pull from books and TV shows and movies. And
I think one of the great benefits of being the host of this podcast is that I'm exposed to authors and artists and creators that I normally have only heard of or have not really had a chance to get to know. So I get these opportunities to meet these people, and it gives me an opportunity to explore their worlds and their imaginations, and
and to add to your pile of books.
Makes my pile of books that much taller, and I'm happy about that. Having a tall pile of books is actually as close to heaven as you're ever going to get.
Yep.
You know, so that's a beautiful thing. And I have a new house with a reading area. I have actually set aside a corner of a room that has a reading area, and that's a first for me in a long time. So I'm excited about that.
That's the English major in you.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time today. I know Sherry has been looking forward to this one for a while. Sherry, do you have any closing questions that you wanted to ask?
No, I just wanted to say that I've been a huge fan for many years, and this has just been an absolute thrill and honor to be able to talk to you today.
Well, thank you so much. I'm working on the second harem book, where things get a whole lot riskier at the university. And I have that and the third one, and then I'm working on an idea for something that will take us back to the years right after King Jonathan and Queen Thiat were crowned.
Nice. Very nice.
Now, you just had a book come out in February, am I correct?
Yep, that was Tempest and Slaughter.
Okay.
That's about Aram, who becomes new mayor, the great magician, the great wizard, in his university years. He starts when he's about 7.
Oh.
Well, they couldn't get back home. He went through all the classes that he could. He was that bright. And they said, we can't teach him anymore. You're going to have to send him to Carthage.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that begins and is he essentially, pardon me for saying so because I have a lack of experience with this, but is he in essence the Merlin of your universe in that one?
He's not exactly Merlin. He's more like the young Arthur with magic.
Gotcha.
And it opens with his magic doing what it usually does, which is get away from him.
Okay. Whoops.
Oh, this is another of my cats chipping in. This is Scooter, who just meowed in the...
I think we did catch him in that one. So
Yes.
Another country heard from, as my grandfather used to say.
Yes. So this is where he meets his 2 new friends, a young man named Ozorn and a young woman named Varese, who become his closest friends ever as he starts to try to learn to get his magic under control.
Gotcha. And that's the Tempest.
Tempest and Slaughter. There's a lot of both in the book.
Okay. I am looking forward to it. That is going to be a lot of fun. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time today, and I really appreciate it, and I wish you the best, and I'm looking forward to plunging into the worlds that you've created.
Thank you. Have fun.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. And so on behalf of Sherry and Tanya and Billy and Sybil and obviously Alana, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye, Alana.
She's waving bye.
And dancing.
That's great. And so we're going to go to break. And when we come back, we'll wrap a few things up.
I thought it was great about filing bankruptcy and having terrible credit. Like, I no longer worry about identity theft.
Really?
Here's my social security number, my mom's maiden name. If you can open up an account with that crap, good luck. Like 2 weeks after I filed bankruptcy, some guy stole my identity, and he actually tried to bring it back. I'm like, you dude, that's you now. Finders keepers. Maybe you can open up a prepaid credit card. You could help reestablish our credit.
Comedian Gene Pompa, a little something for Tanya.
Nice. Dedicated. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I got my $115 back.
That's good.
I believe.
That's all that matters.
I don't know, I'll check.
All right. So we're back. Hello.
We're a little discombobulated today after we had that wonderful interview, and then we're just like, we're having issues today. It must be just the end of the week that
we've had. It's a combobulation thing. I don't know.
So we have an event coming up.
We do have an event coming up. The Flower City Mini Con. Exhibitors, vendors, and artists. Tables for the weekend are only $75. Contact Brian at fc3roc.org if you're interested. It is going to be October 27th and 28th at the Grease Ridge Center Mall. We're going to have something going on pretty much during mall hours. We will have one of our shenanigators, our buddy Michael Koski from The Walking Dead and the originals.
He's up for anything.
Yeah, we're basically going to be cutting him loose on the Grease Ridge Center Mall and then seeing what happens.
There will be an animal race sometime during that weekend. So
those the scooter things?
The scooter things that the Power Rangers chased each other last year.
Nice.
Michael is up for that.
Good deal.
I know that Nightmare Manor, Michael will be there on that Thursday to come out and get your tickets, and he'll be willing to walk through with you guys, to take selfies with you guys in front of Nightmare Manor, that type of thing. So he's ready.
There's going to be a lot going on.
Big fun that weekend.
Because when we're involved, it gets weird.
I saw him yesterday, and he's geared up for some shenanigans.
Awesome. See, he and Greg need some shenanigans in their lives. Have we heard from Greg lately? I know he's Michael, right in the path of hurricane.
Michael talked to him yesterday. He was safe. It was just it was more hype than it actually turned out to be for him.
It's all right. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's definitely all right. But
so he's not in Myrtle Beach.
No.
Which is getting slammed.
It might be getting slammed today, but it wasn't, or whatever, but it did not get slammed before he would have had to leave for Erie Con, but he just couldn't get out because of the airports were closed and things like that, so he wouldn't have been able to fly up to Erie Con, so they really missed him up there.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad he's okay then. That's all that matters to me. So, hey, you, listener, yes, you, yes, point to yourself, look in the mirror. Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Okay.
Do you want to be a part of FC3 Monkey Business and the Mighty Monkey Corporation?
I already am.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say.
They already are. They're
Billy
listening
already
to us.
is.
Thank you.
Thank you. There are a few ways of doing that other than being Billy DeTore. The first is become a sponsor.
Woo-hoo!
We have sponsorship levels of all kinds, and we're even willing to create custom sponsorship packets. Please contact us at sponsorships. Oh my God. I am all discombobulated at this point. Sponsorships at fc3roc.org.
Actually, right now it'd be easier being Billy DeTore.
Yes, it really would be at this point.
He's just sitting there not talking.
Yeah. The next way of joining in is by supporting us on Patreon. Please check us out at www.patreon.com/FC3ROC. All membership levels will include access to the Patreon-only blog, plus tons of great perks at all levels. Shout-outs to a couple of our amazing patrons, Jen Bevan and James Irish. Thank you guys for supporting us as always. And yes, James, we're going to be talking about trivia nights pretty soon because you the man. All right.
He's also going to be very excited about this interview. He's a huge fan.
Oh, is he a Tamora Pierce fan?
So
he's going to be been loving this one. Good deal. All right. So, James, this one was for you, buddy. Want to help others find the show? Please leave us a review wherever you listen to us. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Podbean, YouTube, and Stitcher. Is there a place that you find your podcast and you can't find FC3 Monkey Business? Please let us know, and we'll jump on that for you. And follow us on Twitter at FC3MB Podcast. If you do, say hi. We love it when you say hi. Just like that. Do it again. Hi. That one. There we go. See, so you can say hi like that. So that's all the business at hand. The only thing left to do is the question of the week. And, Billy.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you first.
Okay.
What fandom or subject have you introduced someone to that they ended up becoming equally or more passionate about?
I would have to say my wife, who didn't follow nerd stuff at all. When she had her own like sort of obsessions and things.
Right.
So she was a geek, just not about the same stuff.
Exactly. But now she loves her Marvel movies and iZombie's one of her favorite shows.
Nice.
Just like me. Especially, and this isn't necessarily nerddom, but I'm a huge New York Mets baseball fan, and now she's pretty much equal to me.
Very cool.
She didn't know baseball at all. When she first moved here, she would read while I was watching games, and then she started peeking up and asking questions, and now she has me DVRing the games.
There you go. I'm very sorry. Our two teams played last night. I was watching it on ESPN, and
you're a Red Sox fan.
Yeah,
you won yesterday.
We beat you up the other day. You guys will get back. You guys have got a good team.
Friday night, the Mets won 8-0.
I know. So it's
today's
back and
the
forth.
rubber game.
It's the rubber match
Except
tonight.
the Red Sox are one of the best teams in baseball.
I love it when somebody says that sentence. I really do.
And the Mets, they're the best team in baseball. And the Mets are not so good. And today they're basically playing for nothing because the Red Sox are still going to be in first place and the Mets are still going to stink no matter what happens today.
But that's when the Mets are dangerous. That's the thing is when I've noticed that the Mets when they have nothing to lose, they're more relaxed and they just pound the hell out of somebody. I've seen that happen.
And our ace pitcher Jacob deGrom is starting today. So
and I'll let you know that I'm very pleased that Bill Buckner's retired.
Yes.
When they're playing the Mets, it just always makes me nervous.
It's funny they showed that famous play yesterday, didn't they?
Oh, I'm sure. Anytime the Mets and the Red Sox are even in the same time zone, somebody's going to play that clip.
They showed that the ball going between Buckner's legs, and then the next play had the ball going between the Mets first baseman's legs. So
it's all fair play.
Exactly.
All fair play.
So Mets.
There you go. Tanya.
Yes.
Is there a fandom that you have introduced someone to that they ended up becoming equally passionate about?
I thank you to Sherry for sending me this question earlier this week so I could think about it, and I still have no answer. I've been racking my brain. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I first read it is what fandom have I been introduced to by somebody that I become equally passionate about? That's how I first read the question.
Yeah, see, that would be my answer for today, so you have to skirt around that at this point.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't like. I can say that Riker's like been jumping on the bandwagon with like Star Wars stuff and like he'll say, "Oh, are we going to rewatch Infinity War or are we going to do this?" And he's only catching bits and pieces of it because he has the attention span of a gnat. But I don't know if I truly have something
that you've introduced
that
somebody
I've introduced somebody to.
I think what you've done with your kids is definitely.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I'm like between Randy and I, we've introduced Tyler to D&D, and he's really gotten into it a little bit more.
He's getting better.
He's getting better. It's like a couple Saturdays ago when we were gaming with Mark and Sean, our other friends. Tyler was the one that was kind of playing the Evan character to kind of rush us into the next one. We're like, but we're back here lurking at something, and Tyler's like, I'm going to go open this next door. I don't know when they're going to come get me. So I probably would say that because now he's playing a couple times a week, and he was first like, I don't know if I'm going to play.
Now he's in. Now he's looking forward to game day.
Yes.
Nice.
And I'm looking forward to game day when he's playing because then I know he's taking a shower. He's clean.
Hey, Sybil, how about you? Is there something that you've introduced somebody to that they have now become uber fan of?
Well, TV shows. My boyfriend, I was bored and I started rewatching Criminal Minds while he was out walking the dog. And that was last weekend. I came up this weekend and he's already in season 4.
Woohoo! Nice.
So he has binged that show like crazy all week.
Nice.
I'm rewatching that too.
Yeah, and he absolutely loves it. We were actually talking about it and discussing it and the characters and what happens to them and everything. So it's not just binge it to binge it. And he's actually interested in the show, which I think is pretty cool.
So there you have it. How about you, Cher?
We will get to you.
That's what I'm saying.
She thinks it's influencing you?
Oh, it's okay. I'm going to start this with one of my favorite Terry Pratchett quotes.
Okay.
And it says, "Getting an education was a bit like a communicable sexual disease. It makes you unsuitable for a lot of jobs, and then you have the urge to pass it on."
I'm done. You broke me today. I'm done. Why did you look at me when you wanted to pass it on? They just ceased.
Because you're a teacher.
Oh, okay.
And this was a quote about a governess. So, and it was about her teaching.
My kids don't want to learn anything. So
Well, if I love something, I want everybody to love it. I have to introduce everybody to it. And different people have picked up different things from me. With Lana, Supernatural, Harry Potter. With my niece Rachel, it was Star Trek Deep Space Nine. With Lana, it was Voyager. Buffy.
turn your mic, kiddo.
Oops, hold on, it's my fault.
I don't even know if it's on.
There,
Okay,
now it is.
Try now.
Hello.
Yeah,
There she
There
is.
is.
but yeah, I've gotten her into Buffy. I've gotten her into Xena.
Oh, Xena. I like Xena.
I absolutely destroyed Chris with Firefly because he would not watch it because he heard it was great and knew it was only one season, and then
Yeah.
I made him watch it and he's like, "Damn you!"
You did the same with me.
Yep, and also Buffy with him. I've watched Buffy all the way through 3 full times. Mm-hmm. Once by myself, once with Chris, once with Monk.
Yep. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if I love something, I want everybody to love books. Leverage.
Yeah. There's 4 of us are like, oh, so when are we going back to rewatching Leverage?
Yeah, really.
I don't have enough time.
Parker.
Parker.
Yay.
Christian Kane.
I'm sorry, Aldous Hodge.
Yeah, okay.
He is such a cutie.
The whole team is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I always had a thing for Timothy Hutton.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, yes, if you're a friend of mine, chances are I have told you to watch or read or
Something.
listen to something. So
There you go. And then with me, it's obvious because my co-host wouldn't be a geek if it wasn't for me sometimes, I think. She resisted the Doctor Who
I did for
fandom.
How
years.
can you resist?
I have
did.
no idea how she could, but she did, and I got her into it, and I kept pushing. I'm like, you got to watch it. I don't. What was the first? Did you start from the beginning?
I started with 9.
You started with Rose.
So you started with the new stuff.
the new
Yeah,
stuff.
and which is what I always recommend to new folks.
Well, yeah, because you start with the old stuff and you're like, what is this? It's so campy.
And I truly had watched a couple episodes
Tom Baker.
of old stuff. I don't even know if it was Tom Baker or whatever. And I'm just like, what the hell is this? I'm out. I'm just like, I'm out. I can't do this.
But then
I'm
we
like,
got her
it
in
was
with
just
Christopher Eccleston, and
the
that was that.
cheese factor was just, I couldn't do it.
Did you hear BBC America is playing every one from 9 forward just before they premiere the new series?
I wanted to.
I'm so DVRing.
I wanted to ask about that because I saw through Matt Smith. I haven't watched, but we want to rewatch the whole thing. Will my DVR fit the entire series?
No,
Probably not.
You're gonna have to watch certain
just go on
episodes
Amazon.
before.
I liked when Netflix had it because they had
it was
everything
a
in
lot
absolute right order,
Yeah, it was a lot
including the
easier.
Christmas episodes.
Yeah.
I'm going to start actually ordering the DVD boxes because I
So
need
we're
that
gonna
for
have-
myself. as a
Amazon got
fan.
frustrating, and that's why I
Yeah.
stopped watching.
We're going to have a marathon of stuff at Chris's house?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Sounds good.
absolutely.
Oh, I have a new obsession that I think everyone needs to watch.
Can you finish Chris's first?
No, it's already.
Are you
already
done?
yeah, I got you into Doctor Who.
Oh my God.
That's like that's the victory
and
for
I
me.
started in over February break so many years ago, and I think by April I had caught up to where it was.
It was only like a year or two ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it
probably-
was recently.
It was like
Yeah.
a couple years ago that
And now she has Doctor Who T-shirts. She has the Doctor Who hoodies. She's got the pop.
I finally
the
got
Funko
my,
Pop
my
fac-
police
figures.
box hoodie.
Did
Yeah.
you see what I put on the back of my Mini? It's a TARDIS, and it says it's bigger on the inside.
Nice.
That's on the bumper of my Mini.
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
I approve.
Yes, you.
You also have a TARDIS on the back of your shoulder.
I do. I have a lovely TARDIS on the back of my shoulder.
That, my little sister over here. She's so into it. She's got ink.
I do.
She's
Yeah.
got more ink than you do.
Well, a lot of people have more ink than I
I've
do.
got more
So do
ink
I.
than a lot of people.
I've got more ink than he does.
Do I?
No, you
No.
have the same amount of ink.
We're tied. We're tied at one.
It's
you
a
and me,
matter of the
Alana.
size of the ink. Never mind.
Listen, I've got
Okay.
9, and I'm getting another one in a couple weeks, actually.
I want another one.
Yeah, me too.
I'm
My
getting,
mom will kill me.
My next tattoo is going to be the quote, "Not all who wander are lost,"
There you go.
in Elvish.
I have
Sexy.
that quote on the back of a Knox T-shirt.
Nice.
Anyway,
Okay,
so that's
so
that.
just
Go
one
ahead.
last. Okay,
One last thing.
One
okay,
last
you're
thing.
of their obsession.
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
What?
It's an Amazon original,
Uh-huh.
and it's about a young Jewish, very well off woman
Yeah, I
whose
thought I saw a
husband
preview for
leaves
it.
her,
Mm-hmm.
and she kind of accidentally becomes a stand-up comedian.
That looks funny.
It's
I've
amazing.
seen
I mean, and to
previews.
tell you what the time period is, one of the characters is Lenny Bruce.
Okay.
And so that's the type of comedy. This is not appropriate for children. It's very profane. It's insanely funny, and I have been enjoying it so much. My mother and I binge watched it, and we can't wait for season 2.
It's set in the 50s.
Yep.
That's right. I think I saw a part of you guys watching it where she got the record.
Yep. So it's
Yeah,
got
I've
a lot
seen
of great
previews
old
for it.
comedy, and it's really got some really great people in it. So enjoying it.
I have
Check
lots
it
of
out.
other
Check
things.
it out.
Very nice. So there you have it. And that is Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic-Con, coming at you in the Mini-Con, October 27th and 28th of 2018 at the Grease Ridge Center Mall. We love you. We miss you. Come follow us on Facebook. Come follow us on Patreon. Come follow us on Twitter. Come follow us wherever we go, and we will lead you to where the entertainment is. See you guys soon. We miss you and love you, and we'll talk to you all later.